everybody, and welcome back to the United Stand Fan Forum. It's West Ham 1, Manchester United 0, and the horrible away form continues. 2 back-to-back deserved defeats, some mistakes all over the pitch, and I know you're all going to come in about the goalkeeper. Are people starting to wake up? I think it's about time that they do. It's surprising that it's taken this long for it to happen, but also the midfield and the attack, horrible as well. We've got to get into it all, and Erik ten Hag is coming under question. Not him as a manager. I think as a manager he's brilliant, but the last couple of games his tactics have been wrong and the team selections arguably have been wrong as well, and we're going to get into that. And we have the panel of Double A, Faz and Charlie to do so. I mean, let's get straight into it. Double A, I'll come to you first, onto my left. I mean, De Gea starts off with that, well, he starts off actually passing it to West Ham, and then he makes that clanger. But I'm not going to go straight in on him. I'm actually going to talk about the fact we cannot score goals. We've not scored in 3 of our last 6 games. Like, yeah, going down 1-0 is poor, but we should be able to outscore West Ham, and it just doesn't seem to be happening.
It's a worry, and, you know, there was that question asked when he got injured, what happens when Rashford stops scoring? That is happening now. He's not scoring, and for me, he's going back to his old ways last season, where he's just trying to pot shots from 40 yards when they're not on. He's playing for himself, trying to get the glory. He's not looking to play as part of the team. And, you know, I think he said before the Brighton game, I want to make the assists. I want to be the creator as well as the goal scorer. We don't see that on the pitch for me. And it's a worry. Too many players looking, like I say, for themselves, the glory, trying to score rather than create and trying to ease it opening for other people and taking the wrong shots. You know, the chance for Martial, go across the goalkeeper. Why are you going straight at the keeper? Same with Rashford as well. And we need to be smarter up front and less selfish. But it is a worry that we're not
Massive worry. I think the whole team looks absolutely just awful. I'm going to be honest, awful. Like, these performances are just not good enough. The team and the manager as well, like, they're just not. I mean, Faz, we've got to win 3 games to secure top 4 out of 5. And I'm looking at...
Out of 4.
Sorry, out of 4. Out of 4, it gets even worse.
It was 3 out of 5.
3 games out of 4 to secure top 4. I'm looking at the games, I'm thinking Bournemouth. I know it's Bournemouth, but, you know, they actually are quite decent now under Gary O'Neill. It's away from home. I'm looking at Wolves. At home, we should be able to get over the line, but even they've got a couple of good results recently. Chelsea have obviously just won, and you know what Chelsea like. They do, even though they've been horrible, they have good players. And then Fulham last game of the season, they're going to want revenge on us. Like, are you worried?
Very much so. I don't understand what he's doing, putting Weghorst in a 10 and Bruno on the left. Say it. I just say it as it is, plain and simple. Love the guy, but love ain't going to get us top 4.
Well, Ricky actually texted me and said Weghorst has been brilliant today.
I don't care. No, Ricky's not here. With all due respect, I couldn't care less.
What was he going?
As much as I love Ricky, as much as I love Ricky, but my head is hot.
No, the first half, he may have had 10 men because he didn't do anything. He ran around a little bit.
It's not good enough. This is. You're a manager of Manchester United. Set out the lineup according to the best players available. And what I thought I was convinced that Martial is his beloved player. How come Martial's not starting if it's his beloved player? And he's putting the slowest player in the team in the number 10 position. In the place where you have to be most intense, most aggressive, winning the ball, creating chances. He's put the slowest player and the player who's least able in air. Because he's had 1 or 2 games good in the 10 position. Or not even 1 or 2 games. 1 or 2 little scenarios where he's been good in the 10 position. The guy don't even shoot.
It's worrying when I find myself agreeing with Jermaine Genius because even he saw it and said, you've got Sancho and you've got Garnacho who would add more to the team in the 10 than what Weghorst is doing. So if Genius can see it, Ten Hag, I don't know what he's doing. I don't understand why that is an option to play him there.
I mean, we definitely will talk about that. We have a super chat in from Christopher Cardova saying, does Faz still think Rashford is world class?
But the way he's performing, no. This is I have to say as it is again, because logic has to be used. He's had numerous chances where he's almost overdoing it, trying to create an opportunity for him to shoot. You can tell, instead of trying to create an opportunity for someone else to shoot, he's trying to do it for himself. You see, he's trying to get past the player to get into a position where he can take a shot off rather than cross the ball or square the ball.
Have you ever seen him drop so deep as he was today as well?
Yeah,
like,
that's another one.
Dropped so deep. Like, there was times where it's almost like what Bruno did when we, like a couple of seasons ago, where we couldn't get the ball to Bruno, so he dropped deep just for the sake of getting on the ball. Like Rashford was doing that over and over again, but then not like just stand on the ball for 10 seconds. It's just like, man, just pass the ball. Yeah. Like even if it is a nothing pass, like you standing there for 10 seconds when a defender stood in front of you, you're not achieving anything. No one's moving. Like you're just stood there dangling your foot in the air. Yeah. Pass it off and then run. Yeah. Like it.
The movement was shocking.
Yeah, and this is the thing, because I know we will touch on De Gea, but I want to say it while, like I remember, otherwise I will forget. My memory's awful. But I know obviously the mistake for today's goal was De Gea, right? It's a glorified pass back. Yeah. It's a glorified pass back. But I just want to say the fact of there's 10 other men on the pitch, right? That can make up for that error, As much as the blame is solely on him, but there's 10 other people on the pitch that can rectify that mistake, and they haven't done anything to rectify it.
No. Well, one thing, we will come back to Weghorst a little bit on Rashford as well. I do want to get straight into it, and because this is the way the show goes, and it was one of the main talking points, I'm going to get straight onto it right now. Obviously, I've seen a lot of people now saying, I mean, I've had people crawling out the woodwork. Jordan even texted me saying, I think I agree with you now on David De Gea. Jordan, I'm throwing you under the bus. You were the biggest one that used to argue with me. You've come back saying, I think I agree with you. I think we need improvements on David De Gea. There was a big, massive discussion going on as the game was in our United Stand little group chat going on about De Gea, and we're going to talk about it. I have been on this for a while, as a lot of people will know, but I can't believe it's taken one clanger for people to realise he isn't the goalkeeper that's going to take us forward, because anyone can make a mistake. I believe that anyone can make a mistake. It's everything to the game. That was extremely lucky it wasn't 2-0 when he got shoved off the ball, because he's weak. He's the weakest keeper I've seen. The weakest. Cowardly, actually, and that's really harsh, but cowardly. We all remember the Arsenal game where he stayed down, get down, and they scored, and the VAR checked it didn't happen. And start the first half, passes it straight to West Ham. Start of the second half, passes it straight to West Ham. We have to play hoofball and giving them the option to just come straight back onto us because you can't play it from the back. I mean, it's really not hard to see anymore, in my opinion. But I mean, anyone come in on this?
Do people... So, right, it's quite clear to everyone, right, that De Gea isn't very good with his feet, but what he is known for being good at is these saves and shot stopping, right? Okay. So does it take for him to all of a sudden have a clanger of something that he should... I mean, realistically, it's not even a hard save, right? All he needs to... He could have saved it with his feet. He could have just moved over to the right and taken a touch. Like, it's actually awful. And yes, he has these ones occasionally in him, right? Remember Barcelona all them years ago where Messi... And he literally has the ball under his arms and it goes underneath, right? There's times where it's happened in the past, but every keeper is prone to it. But does it take now for De Gea, for everyone to realise or come round, does it take for him to make these mistakes, for them to almost go over the edge and just be like, right, yeah, De Gea has to go? Is that what it takes now?
I don't think it should, though. Like,
no, I don't. I mean, I don't think it should.
Yeah, but it's a question mark, because people were texting me and like Sam was putting on Twitter. I was saying, I've been saying this for months. One mistake doesn't change my mind. I know if we get a new keeper in, there'll be mistakes that are made. Everything that happens, but it's weekend. We have a debate on this panel. At least probably once every 2 weeks over mistakes De Gea's made.
I think it's been every week, right?
It's not consistent enough. I mean, Faz, most errors by an individual player leading to goals scored against you in the Premier League, joint top with Hugo Lloris, who, in my opinion, is probably one of, if not the worst keeper in the Premier League right now. Like, you've been a big De Gea defender. You've come on here to me before and said, Beth, best keeper in the world, David De Gea. Like, what thoughts?
Yeah, messed up, not acceptable. Doesn't matter. You call things as you see it. He doesn't pass the ball well. Okay, forgive him. He can make good shot stops, do that well. But today, the ball is literally bobbling in front of you, and you could literally just walk over and pick it up if you wanted to.
Bad. It's laughable.
Like, you could take a step to the right and pick it up, but he's panicked almost, and he's not realised, he's not positioned well. Okay, you know what? Happens, done. Is it a corner kick that came in? He's grabbed the ball slipped out of his hands, gone to a opposition player. How? Okay, Antonio elbowed him on his face. You are supposed to jump and extend your arm. Nobody can jump higher than your arm unless it's Cristiano Ronaldo in his prime. extend your. He's jumped and he goes, like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
You are allowed, out of all the players on the pitch, you and another guy are allowed to go like this. And Thingy punched up Bissaka and made him bleed.
The thing is as well, goalkeepers are like the most protected player on the pitch
Yes.
as well. So you can afford to, like, it's almost like he thinks any kind of connection or any barge is going to get a foul, whereas you can actually go and claim it, land on your feet, and still get a foul, right? Because you see it all the time. Goalkeepers over and over again, when it shouldn't be a foul, goalkeepers get given almost the benefit of the doubt, don't they? And it's almost like he's forgotten that, and he is just
How many times has a keeper jumped, grabbed the ball, and fallen on another player? But it's still allowed because he's jumped to claim the ball. But he just doesn't extend his hands. That's just absurd. That's actually absurd. Why you don't extend your hands?
I think it's, for me, it's either a case of regression. He's really regressing now to the levels we've seen him perform. He's dropping off that so bad now that anything that you see, any wobble he gets is massively affecting him. And we saw that against Sevilla in the second leg.
Do you know what? I can't get over when people DM me saying, David, the reason David De Gea is it's in his head now. That's why he's making these mistakes. I'm like, come on, people. This is a professional keeper, and he probably doesn't even know who we are.
That could be the case. Not from you, obviously. I don't think he's looking out for your tweets every day, or he's got bell notifications on, or anything like that. But maybe some criticism from the media that he's seeing is starting to get to him, and this whole thing about his distribution, and he can't just be a shot stopper anymore. Maybe it is affecting his game, because we are seeing it more and more. I said it to you. It's more and more after it.
He's always been poor with his feet.
But it's never been needed as much as in the modern game now, is it?
That's what I mean with the modern game. It's continuing. People. I know people will say he's an excellent shot stopper, and I agree. He is an excellent shot stopper. Today, obviously, was a mistake, but he is. But then crosses, no. No matter what people tell him, no. He can't do them. Sweeping, he's trying, but it's just not. It's not him. Distribution, terrible, to the point where it actually regresses our build-up play. And then penalties. And then people tell me, when are penalties really needed? Emi Martinez won Copa America and the World Cup for Argentina on penalties. And then people tell me, and people won't like this one, Dean Henderson's way too cocky to be a United keeper. He's so cocky. What is Emi Martinez? Why has he won them penalty shootouts? It's what a goalkeeper's supposed to be.
I don't think Henderson's talented enough to be a United goalkeeper. Personally,
yeah, that's it.
I don't think it comes down to his attitude's another thing, but I think talent-wise there's better goalkeepers out there. But with De Gea, I think it's coming to that point. Like I said to you before, Beth, it's almost that point with Ollie, when Ollie started to turn against Ollie and people wanted Ollie out. You couldn't say a bad thing against him because he was a legend, and it was seen as almost, you're going against the club if you say something bad about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I think that's how people feel about David De Gea, because he's been here so long and been one of our greatest players, and he's been through the mud with us, that now that, maybe he's not the best option for us. Yes, we have to stick with him till the end of the season, because who is it? Jack Butland? We're not going to want him in goal. But we have to have serious questions asked now, and it's getting... he's going to sign a new contract, so we're stuck with him for another 3-4 years. I'd rather not. If this is what's going to be like through the season, when we need our keeper to stand up and be this strong presence in the back line, in important games that we need to win, and he can't do it, then we're in trouble. We're in massive trouble.
We are going to speak about, obviously, the rest of the team, because we're not scapegoating here. We are just talking about different points in the game, and these are questions that need to be asked. I saw Mark on his final score saying, I'm not going to say anything negative about De Gea because we needed him till the rest of the season. Well, you have to look at a football game and analyse it, and questions have to be asked towards the summer.
There's a very easy way of getting out of trying to be critical about your keeper that you love. Because I'm I'm a big David De Gea fan, but I'm here sat here telling you he messed up and it's not good enough.
Can I ask Charlie, and this is the last thing we'll speak on this subject, because we do need to move on, but I put a tweet out, and this will get people going, but it's about opinions. I said, I've said this, we need someone more talented than Dean Henderson, I think, as a long-term option at Man United. But if we're in the summer, we're on a limited budget, even Ten Hag doesn't know how much money he's going to get right now, the ownership situation is up in the air. Going into next season, there is the option of Dean Henderson. Would you prefer going into next season with David De Gea in goal or with Dean Henderson in goal? Because for me personally, I think it's quite obvious what's the best option, but other people massively disagree. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, as much as I know a load of people, and probably you guys, right, would love me to just go, David De Gea or Dean Henderson, I don't think it's quite as plain and simple as that, right? I don't think if you bring Henderson back, then De Gea shouldn't be here, and then if De Gea stays, then I don't think Dean Henderson should stay either. I don't think you should bring back that almost what I think and assume was the toxicity that was when they were both together. Not necessarily, I don't know if they fell out or anything like that, but you know, when Henderson made the comments of he was promised this, promised that, and you just don't want that. And I'm not saying Ten Hag would deal with it like that because he's dealt with Ronaldo in a better situation. He's dealt with other things in a better light as well. But whoever it's going to be, you commit to who that is going to be. Yeah. So it is literally as plain and simple. If you commit to if Henderson comes back, then he can't stay, and vice versa.
Yeah. Who would you be more comfortable as a starting goalkeeper next season if everyone had to pick one now?
I've not seen enough of Dean Henderson when he's played for United that's convinced me that he could be a number one for Manchester United at this moment in time.
You'd still go with De Gea? You'd have to pick one.
I would have to go with De Gea then. I think with Dean Henderson as well, what I think we're missing is he was given a chance to stay and prove his worth to Ten Hag, and he turned him down. He said, I didn't even give him the chance to talk to me, I just went. I don't think he wants to do that anyway.
I think he got frustrated at the fact he was kind of told he was going to be number one and then put on the back burner when complaints.
I think if it genuinely comes down to if Ten Hag comes out or it's clear that next season Ten Hag wants to play out from the back better, then go with Henderson. On the limited budget, because obviously you can go out there and get a better goalkeeper for that job, Costa and etc. But if he doesn't think, yes, De Gea, if you put 10 attributes up against Henderson, he's probably better at 70% of them. Maybe Henderson beats him on like crosses, obviously distribution and like footwork, everything like that, right? Shot stopping and that, he probably does beat him. But if, you know, defensively we have improved massively in terms of Martinez coming in, Varane's performances, Luke Shaw at centre-back, Luke Shaw left-back, Malacia, Dalot, Wan-Bissaka, like defensively that way we have
Lindelof
improved.
As well,
yeah, so much. And if you bring Henderson in to play out from the back, then do it. Like, bring Henderson in. Because it is quite clear that De Gea can't play out from the back. He's not comfortable enough to do it, and that hinders us in some way, shape or form. Mark even put that tweet out the other day, didn't he? Yesterday, said it's 2023, you can't be winning football matches and thinking you're kicking it long or something along those lines,
you can't think you can win football matches by just hoofing it long.
And that is exactly what we have been doing as of late with De Gea in goal, right? And we haven't, I'm not saying that's why we haven't been winning, but, you know, we haven't been winning. So it's kind of ironic, isn't it? So, I mean, look, whatever happens, happens. I think if we want to play out for the back, and it comes down to these two guys, then Henderson's better at that attribute, right?
One thing I might be reading...
That's not people saying, I think Henderson should be a long-term keeper, because I would rather get a new keeper, honestly, but it's just picking between two players.
It is, and I think I might be reading too much into it, but I don't know if you saw Ten Hag's reaction when the goal went in. He dropped his head. Now...
Did you see Rashford's face?
yeah, but managers don't really give... That, to me, is like frustration, or... Here we go again, because the keeper's again letting him down.
Well, the thing is, he knows he's going to get asked like 10 questions in the press conferences as well, right? Like
and he's the reason why he gets paid this money is because he has to make that decision, and he really does have a decision on his hands now what he does with the goalkeeper situation, because it can't carry on like this, because De Gea is just damaging not only his reputation as a legend, but as a goalkeeper moving in forward. If he does leave United, where does he go and where does he play?
He'd be a top keeper for a club that doesn't want to play the way of football that we want to play, an elite level style of possession-based football. I have no doubts. Like, everyone knows, I don't think, you know, De Gea is the right goalkeeper for us, but he would be a top keeper for a team that's battling for top four.
How do Bagley play, Charlie?
Yeah, I need the keepers.
Battling. He's not a title-winning keeper for a team that wants to play possession-based football. But I think
in Spain, I think if he was to go back to Spain, I think he would be fine wanted and stuff like that. And you know, but and it's sad to see, because you want to see your legends of the club, you know, have a long career, maybe retire with you. But it's clear the Premier League may be too technical and fast for David De Gea now.
With all that said, though, it's very interesting how we have conceded similar amount of goals in the league as of Arsenal and City. I think City conceded 30 odd. We've conceded 30 odd as well.
Oh, we're going to move on to the fact we can't score goals. We're going to
Yeah,
move on to
I
that,
know
which is
they-
not just a De Gea
They
slander.
outscore their opposition, but they haven't not conceded similar amount of goals to us. They have actually conceded similar amount.
But we've also had like one-off drummings, which kind of you
And-
can't
Yeah,
really.
so
base
imagine
it-
if you take those out and we didn't, then we would be in a situation where we'd say, well, David Gea is in a conversation for a Golden Glove and
he is in that
conceded.
conversation.
But I think
But
you
saying
put the
someone's
rest of
gonna
the
get
back
the
four into
Golden
that as well. I
Glove.
think they
Yeah,
have
but
to.
but the top teams having top keepers are still conceding similar amount of goals as
But
us.
the problem is, people can turn around and say, "Oh, he's going to get Golden Glove. That doesn't matter." But if your keeper is top for most errors leading to goals conceded in the Premier League, you have an issue.
But
if
a
your
top-
keeper is costing
right.
you in big moments, which he
So
does,
a top keeper,
you have a problem.
Right, a top keeper who isn't top in that stat of errors leading to goal is still conceding similar amount of goal as the keeper
But
who is
it's
the
not
top.
all about. It's about the whole team.
Yeah, no, but those other keepers, so Ramsdale, Alisson, Edison, they can play the way their managers want them to play. That's the reason we're sort of criticising De Gea is not because he can stop goals going in. He deserves to be, leading the Golden Glove because he's great at saving balls going into the net. It's everything else that we're worried about. He can't play out from the back. He is costing us with errors. A lot of errors are coming from De Gea, and I think that's where it all lies now. It's not about his shot-stopping ability because we know it's world-class and he's done well to keep 16 clean sheets, however many it is. He's not being able to do what the manager wants to do going forward, and that's where the problem.
That's the thing,
ultimately
you're
lies.
sacrificing.
We do need to move quickly. We do
Yeah,
need
sorry.
to move on off this subject because we have spoken about it a while.
Okay,
But quickly,
yeah, yeah.
what
And I was just going to say you're sacrificing, and this doesn't just go down to De Gea, right? That also comes down to when Maguire and you can't even say Lindelof now, right? Lindelof's been playing very well, but like Maguire, you're sacrificing the overall long-term project for the sake of like one or two players who can't play the way that he wants to play. Yeah. And you can see that when Maguire comes into the team, again, you can't play the way you want to play. You can't play over a high line. You can't play out from the back again because especially you're not helping yourself out because you can't do it. So yeah, you're sacrificing what you actually are trying to achieve, which long term you shouldn't really do. And I don't know if him signing a new 3 or 4 year deal, obviously you don't know whether a new keeper might come in, the old Henderson situation, I don't know, but it's not looking good, Breath.
Well, we need to get through some super chats because there has been a lot, and I'm going to get through them, and then we're going to move on to a different subject, but it needs to be spoken about. Keifel says Erik ten Hag needs to take a long, hard look at his team selections. The youth team have more passion than these first team bottlers. Equal blame to go round. I think that's harsh. I think we are going to talk about how the camaraderie has declined, but I think that's a bit of a harsh one. And we've also got Danny Dobson. Ricky's biased comment always annoys me, but United at the minute are wrecking my weekend. Sick to death of watching them as well. I went into this game knowing it was going to be a boring one, and that's the sad thing, isn't it? Darren Mulaney, where do we all think we'll finish with 4 games left and have the players stop being greedy when coming to score? We're going to talk about that. The Chronicles of a Gamer says maybe the players are lacking confidence because they know the Glazers are staying. The tough mentality is lost. Stephen Ross says, I don't understand the point of singling out the keeper when the whole team performance was dismal.
I did say that at the start.
We have said that, but we are going to talk about a mistake. I'm not being funny. If Harry Maguire had scored an awful own goal, you'd all sit here and slander him for ages. We're going to speak about mistakes. It doesn't change when it comes to a different type of player.
They won the game because of the mistake. It's the major moment in the game that stopped us winning or even getting a point. So we have to talk about it
I'm not
openly,
being funny.
fairly.
It's
But the
one
whole,
rule for one,
like
one
you
rule
said,
for
Charlie,
another.
the 10 players ahead of him didn't help him at all as well. Everyone is to blame for the loss.
Well, it could have been 2-0 if the refereeing was correct, because that was lucky. Anyway, Soham says, Beth, please talk about the rest of the 10 players. That's what we're about to do. And Keels says, any error made by our players is crossing due to toothless attack. We do not create and score enough goals. Correct, we don't. We really do need to talk about that. Rashford, Michael Neal says, Rashford also needs to be sold while his stocks are high. He is a problem, one-dimensional and a man down when trying to keep possession. We have spoke about that a little bit, but Rashford, it's worrying that he always feels like the need to score every single game rather than making the right decision. And then we have from Jiminy, I don't think he's awful. I think he's burnt out and sick of the useless players on the squad. I personally think he's the least of your issues. I'm not sure who you're speaking about there on that one, And if it's Ten Hag, we didn't say Ten Hag's awful. We said the team's playing awful. And then we've got one saying, said after the last game, I'd be worried if we didn't win this game. I'm worried now. We are 100% bottling top 4. All this progress this season down the drain with another Europa year. We're going to make them predictions. Billy Welch says, we're talking about a goalie passing out from the back and ignoring the fact our attack is a giant hole. Rashford and Anthony aren't it.
We're not, we just haven't got there yet.
And they're the other ones. We can't talk about everything in the space of 15 minutes, everyone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're going to talk about different things.
It's an hour show.
It's an hour-long show, and we're going to move on from that. Things have to be spoken about, and that's what we're going to do, and no one's going to apologise for that either. So, anyway, let's move on to a different subject, and let's move on to the fact our attack cannot score goals. We actually did touch on that a little bit at the start. We're going to touch on it even further now. I mean, Charlie, I'll come to you on this one. Anthony taking shots where he shouldn't be taking shots, Rashford doing the same, lots of lack of chemistry. Is this been a prolonged thing that's been kind of happening throughout the season? Do you think it's burnout? What do you think it's down to?
I feel like it would be a cheap way out to say it's burnout, in all honesty. Like, you want to be playing this amount of games, don't you? Because it means you're progressing in every competition and you're going down to the wire. It's over 60 games or something we've played, right? And it'd be quite easy to just sit here and go, yeah, well, you know, these guys are tired. But, you know, Ten Hag wouldn't make that excuse for the players, and I don't think the players should make that excuse for them either, because that means that you don't want to progress. It's so infuriating, and I know how easy it can come across sitting here and go, you know, I even put like a screenshot of Martial, like the perfect moment of him going, you know, through on goal, and he should have just shot across goal, and I don't even know what happened in that shot, but he almost like scuffed it, I don't know, but it went straight at Fabianski, and it just seems that we love making keepers look unbelievable. Like, Fabianski must be about 56 by now. He's been around since I was about 9, and he looked unbelievable. Like, I know we've hit the post twice, I think, didn't we? It's just so infuriating that when we do, you know, it's quite clear we don't create a lot of chances, but the ones we do, there's no conviction in them. There's no, you know, you've got Weghorst having a half chance shot from the edge of the box, trying to bend it top corner. Like, you see, like, he's like deer in the headlights, like, oh my God, the ball's fallen to me here. And Fabianski just takes a step across and just grabs it and he's just like, cheers, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's so, like, I'm not saying anyone else is actually going to do any better in that situation, but if you wanted it to fall to anyone, you don't really want it to fall to Weghorst, do you? Like, anyone else. But our attack is just toothless at the minute. I said earlier, didn't I, Rashford dropping deep all the time. Maybe he's doing that as under instruction. I don't know, Martial, when he came on, dropping deep all the time as well. There's no presence in the box. There's no out ball. I don't even know. There's too much to even pinpoint. Like, there's one thing that we're missing, and we need this. There's a lot that still needs to be improved upon. I
mean, Faz, we spoke, didn't we, about that? You said you're gonna, you know, question what Erik ten Hag's tactics are and the substitutions as well. I mean, Garnacho travelled today, and I assume if a player travels, they are fit to play. I can't get my head around how Fred, Sancho, even potentially even Martial, Sabitzer, comes on before Garnacho, when over the course of this season he's been our most dangerous player off the bench by far, and that game was in desperate need of a player that, you know, could bring the attack something. We were so easy to defend against. What are your thoughts on the substitutions and the tactics in general? Yeah,
firstly, I think Ten Hag is playing a dangerous game here by being this stubborn with his subs, and he's getting subs wrong quite a bit, quite often. One game, he's made too many subs. One game, he's not making enough. One game, he's bringing the kind of wrong player, you could argue. It's one of those things where he's almost experimenting, and if the experiment works out, we sat here saying the ball guy is a genius, and if it doesn't, it blows up in front of your face, and it's horrible. Like now you're witnessing, he's got two absolute hungry youth players who are actually not youth players. One of them is 20 or 21, and the other one's just signed a new contract, who's been the most impactful this season. And if he's available, if you've let him travel, he's ready to play some minutes anyways. So why not use him? I just don't understand. One of the things that Pelestri does well is he receives the ball, he'll turn the burners on, go past the defender, and he'll square the ball in, right? That's like, he will make sure he gets there and squares the ball in. That's one of the things we could have used today. Because Anthony kept cutting in, trying to either shoot, trying to either pass, change things up, bring a right-footed right winger who can square the ball inside. Put Rashford in the middle. Don't matter if he's a striker or not. Win the game. Win the game with your best players, whatever's available. Why not? Why would... Has Pelestri not done that this season to tell you that he can? Yes. Has he helped you get goals this season? Yes. Has Garnacho been able to turn Man City centre-backs and be able to square the ball? Yes. So why are you not doing it? You're instead... Firstly, you're not starting the player that apparently everybody tells me you love, which is Martial. He doesn't start him for some absurd reason. Secondly, you've sent this guy off for 3 months. He's come back. End of the season now, we're all here praying for points. You're not starting him as well. And when he comes on, again, cutting in, it's lazy passing. It's just not good enough. However way you shape it, it's not good enough. It's an 80 million player. It's another 100 million player. Today, what happened was not good enough. You want to bring in something different. And to bring in something different, you've got inverted wingers. So you bring in wingers that can whip the ball in, cross the ball in. You've put one of the Manchester United's most creative player on the left wing, where he's actually had atrocious games before. And you've done that again this game.
Nullified his crossing, nullified his passing lanes.
The only thing, Bruno, he had a left-footed shot on the 97th minute. Yeah. And we know he's not got a left foot. He's not got a decent left foot from corners. In the middle... In facing the goal, he's got an okay left foot, and that's just an okay. You've put him in the side where you're not going to get crosses. Rashford, at least this season, has had a couple of headed goals here and there. You think, okay, cross the ball, maybe he can run in behind, get something on it. But you've put the only guy who can cross the ball on the left. Eriksen, on the other hand, he's nowhere to be seen. So it's tactically, it's an absolute shame. Declan Rice was dropping shoulders. Declan Rice was playing tiki-taka football under David Moyes against this guy.
Don't say it too much, you'll get the old English bias in the comments.
No, it's not. It don't matter. No, it don't matter.
Oh my gosh, don't get me started.
It's not about English bias.
Of course it ain't, Rob.
People will say what they say because it suits their narrative behind the keyboard. But the fact it's in front of you is they literally left our players for dust and they were doing tick-tack-tick and they were in. How many times were they through on goal? Eriksen again. Say too much about Eriksen, apparently you're a hater. Not got legs. Welcome. I'm telling you, Christian Eriksen does not have the legs to run and chase a player when they're on the attack. He doesn't. How many times today?
I'm definitely going to bring that up, but we're going to talk about Eriksen. But I want to say, honestly, I want to back your point up completely because you are right on the money, in my opinion. Right on it, Faz. Really good analysis, actually, because Bruno, nullified on the left. On the right, I can handle it because his crossing's good. On the left, completely nullifies your best creative player. Eriksen, like you said, obviously no legs. I'm not going to go and repeating what you said, but how the hell on earth are we supposed to create a chance when everybody is in a position where he's probably the least capable of putting anything into the box? Anthony, we know he's inverted, like you said, Rashford inverted. Like, it was really, really poor tactically. I mean, again... Bruno Fernandes, do you think that kind of maybe cost Eriksen hard today, the Weghorst 10 thing and the Bruno Fernandes not being there?
I think you can add Rashford being up top. It was included in that as well because Rashford has that tendency to drop in deep as well. So you've got Bruno trying to come in on occasion, you've got Weghorst in the 10, and you've got Rashford all in this one area, there's no one above them. And it looked like to me, looking at that, their half in that first half, look, they were camped in. It looked like they had twice as many players as we did. They were so compact. And for Rashford, however bad he is or however frustrating he can be, when he's on that left-hand side, he's a lot more dangerous.
By the way, I spoke to a West Ham fan the other day and he said, I'm so worried about Rashford and Garnacho if he comes off the bench against Cahill because Soufal's injured. Soufal's been brilliant. Cahill's an atrocious right-back. Yeah. They'll have a field day. And we put Bruno Fernandes who can't run there. Well, he can run, but, you know, he isn't going to beat a man. It was... stupidity.
Cahill was one of their best players today.
He actually played.
He was class.
He actually played.
He didn't have a winger running at him and terrifying him.
No.
I'm sorry, if I'm a fullback that's playing makeshift position, yes, Bruno has brilliant abilities, But who would you rather be against? Bruno Fernandes running at you, or Rashford or Garnacho running at you?
Because if you look on the other side, Anthony in that first half, you know, Cresswell was worried about Anthony, and they were doubling up on Anthony quite well. And you know, luckily for him, he had Wan-Bissaka who was offering an outlet for him. But on that left-hand side, we shouldn't have been slowing the game down on that side, because it's been proven to be our most effective side a lot of time, especially when Rashford's there. The problem Ten Hag's got with Rashford, and I feel, and it's a general problem, that when he is dropping these stinkers, he's untouchable now. And we had that problem with Ole and with Ranić. These same players playing week in, week out, no matter how bad they played. And Rashford's getting that treatment now. And that's why you're getting these, I'll play for myself, I'll get the moment. And, you know, he did it against Betis. Yes, that's a fantastic goal. It's not going to happen every single week. You're not going to drop these moments of magic. And he needs to be brought off on occasion. Get Garnacho, get Palestri on. Get these young players who are hungry to establish themselves, especially Palestri. He must be so frustrated, because every time I've seen him come on, he's played well.
If I'm Palestri,
he's played really well.
If I'm Palestri's family member or whatever, I'm telling him, don't sign with Manchester United.
Go and get, wait.
Because
if you can start for Uruguay, he's getting a number 8 shirt for Uruguay, starting in the World Cup for them. And then he got players like Sancho and Rashford and Anthony who are dropping. Anthony's played well, but you know, who are dropping stinkers on the regular, and he can't even get a minute ahead of them.
Anthony, for me, even though obviously his shooting was ridiculous, he was our best forward player today, and that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
That's saying a lot. But Charlie, I want to speak about, you are right on that, I want to speak about Christian Eriksen, because it is a topic within the fan base. Had a couple of pretty poor games, to be honest with you, as the rest of the team has, but Eriksen's quite stood out a little bit. I said before the show, I think he's quality, obviously, but it's obvious we're in desperate need of a number 8, because he can't really play games like this. He's so suited to the home games. How high on the priority list is that for you? And realistically, people calling for Sabitzer and Fred, they're not good enough either, in my opinion. But what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Eriksen's been right since he's come back from injury, in all honesty. And I remember having the conversation when he first came back, and you kind of give him the benefit of the doubt because he was rushed back, right, and he's not quite there. The amount of games we've been playing, you've had enough time now to get up to speed and, you know, kind of get all the dust, you know, the cobwebs off. And he's just, technically, you know, he's probably one of our best players and creatively, but yeah, legs-wise, he's just not there. I mean, Fred and Sabitzer, Fred's one thing, right? You never know what you're going to get with Fred. One minute he can drop a 10 out of 10, and the next week, literally, we could play a game 2 days later, 3 days later, and his passing is awful. He's got a touch like he's got trampoline on his feet, like it's terrible. But yeah, no, just a midfielder, a ball progressor, ball carrier is just, you know, Eriksen can be utilised perfectly in certain situations. And I actually put a tweet out saying, should Eriksen start? And loads of people replied being like, yes, 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 we need someone creative. Because I'm guessing what they expected from West Ham was kind of this low block, wouldn't really have much of an attacking threat. And they are probably the teams where Eriksen will be utilised best, because creativity is his biggest kind of attribute. And today he just got run ragged, didn't he? Rice, Souček and Paqueta just... I mean, Paqueta looked unbelievable today.
That's the Paqueta that...
So good. The Brazilian came out in him, didn't it? It's like that bit of confidence came, and it's like little tricks, flicks over people's head. Embarrassing.
But we allow that against every midfield. We allow every midfield to look like that. To every player to look great. And what I'm frustrated with in our midfield, you talk about Eriksen not looking the way he is, and maybe he should be pushed forward, because when he was out and Casemiro was out, and we saw Bruno play as that 6, you know, there was them games at home, and he was absolutely brilliant, progressing the ball well, and he was really a leader. Everton was one of the games. I think Brentford was the second one. The 2 games he played, that's all gone now. He's going up further up, and he's playing really well. But let's use him back in that number 8 role again. He's got Casemiro there. Let's try Eriksen as a 10, because he's not played there for Manchester United. If he's not got the legs, but he's still got the passing and the movement and the brain, let's utilise that, because Bruno has got the legs. He's got the engine. So if we're missing out on that someone to get back, Bruno's there to do it, and I don't understand why that's just totally gone out the window. And again, he's being put on the right, on the left, in the 10, and we're missing our best player for me, and it's a shame that he's being sacrificed in the team.
Yeah, it's really frustrating. I mean, Faz, obviously, I feel a bit sorry for Lindelof and Shaw, because I think they're actually performing really well. in that centre-back roles. I think the rest of the team are massively letting them down. You can't expect to hold on to 0-0s in the Premier League because of mistakes that have been made. You can't go 1-0 down and then not score, like when you're Man United and you have that quality of players. I think even though obviously the last couple of results have been poor, they've actually both been really good. But what was noticed, and we touched on this a little bit, is have Varane and Martinez not been in the team, is that a problem for mentality? Is the camaraderie falling a little bit? Because Mark was speaking on his show just before this and saying, we used to high-five tackles, we were cheering, when players would, manage to stop a corner going out, like things like this. Doesn't quite look like that. Is it burnout? Is it Varane and Martinez that kind of upheld them standards?
Yeah, I think it could play a little part, but at the end of the day, you're a professional athlete. Someone high-fiving you and cheering you on shouldn't define what level you play in.
I still think you are seeing a little bit of that, right? It's just...
You could celebrate a tackle, well done. It's like when Dalot got the yellow card against City and he just caved in. In the first few minutes, he got a yellow card. Nobody went up to him and said, you know what, actually, well done for getting the yellow card. You needed to do that. It's okay. But instead, everybody started panicking. Varane got injured and boom, everything just went upside down. Whereas, throughout the season, later on, you saw Varane like high-fiving Dalot on challenges and whatever, promoting this positive kind of mentality. Sure, you could say that maybe it's not there with Luke Shaw and Lindelof because they both are kind of silent kind of players. They're not really the most talkative, whereas Martinez and Varane, they're very talkative, they're loud, they'll make you know how they are. But if they're injured, right, the other players on the pitch have to do that job. That means Bruno Fernandes has to do that job. That means Rashford has to do that job. That means Casemiro has to do that job. Like when Casemiro claps for Anthony, goes to try and take a guy's head off for Anthony. You have to do that. And yeah, Lindelof, Shaw, David De Gea, one of the biggest ones out of them all, because he plays every game, supposed to go up and tell someone, well done for that tackle, thank you. These players are supposed to do that. You know how your colleagues are, you know how they behave, so you should do that. But if they're not doing that and that's hindering their performance, then you shouldn't be playing for Manchester United. Let's be honest. Like, your mentality should be 100% every game. That's how it's supposed to be. If there is a chink in your mentality, if there's a chip in your mentality, you're not good. You shouldn't be here.
I was going to say, Lindelof's the captain for Sweden, right? He's 28 years old. He's an experienced defender. He shouldn't need a smack on the bum to say, go and get them, boys. Right. You know what I mean? He should know when and where to express himself. And
I don't think Lindelof and Shaw are the problem. They both mentality-wise look good. I think it's the way it's impacting maybe the rest of the team.
I know what you mean.
I get what you're saying, but Bruno's on the pitch, and Bruno's the most expressive player we have in the squad. He's constantly talking, constantly trying to cheer up the players. It doesn't seem to me it's a case of they're not communicating with each other. I think it's a case of they're just not playing together.
I'll mention one thing, and I notice it every game because I make a video after full time on every game and half time as well. Every game without a fail, Varane goes up to the fans, pumps them up, cheers them up. This is his natural DNA. No other player does that. Like Casemiro will give a clap, sure, other players give a clap, but Varane literally goes and pumps up everyone. That's who he is. Yeah. And you can see it spreads through to players. And if Varane is not there, the other senior players need to kind of take on that job and take on that role, right? And if Lindelof, Shaw don't do it, then David here do it. It doesn't matter, they're injured. Your players are injured, so go and play that role. I don't know why the team... And today you saw, once we conceded, did you see anyone that went, no, it's okay, come on, we got this. We've got good players. You've got me. You've got, like Rashford saying, you've got me. You've got this guy. You've got Anthony. We'll do it. Nobody. Everybody's just like,
heads dropped.
Oh, Lord, we conceded. Yes. They're done. Let's go home.
I mean, Charlie, is tiredness an excuse? Because I was speaking in the pub before, and like Liverpool won a Champions League with the same starting 11 starting week in, week out, and they were phenomenal throughout the whole season. Yeah, we did see burnout of them eventually, but Eric Ten Hag's even said tiredness isn't an excuse in previous times. Is it?
No. Flat out, no, it's not. Because again, it comes back to you want to win trophies. You want to win the best competitions, and to do that, you need to play the most amount of games, right? Who cares? You're getting paid to play football. It's what you want to do. You don't just want to play 38 Premier League games, get knocked out in the first whatever round you enter into the cups, go out of the Europa League, Champions League, Conference League, whatever it is, at the first time of asking, and then just sit back and play once a week. Like, that isn't what you want to do, is it?
What I think as well is, so you're not tired at home, but you're tired away. Do you know what I mean? Our away form is terrible. And people will say, like, even in that club, that after we beat Liverpool, we had that little patch. Like, we were winning aways by just 1-0s. We were scraping them, the ones that we did win.
That's the thing, just win at any cost. It doesn't matter. At this point in the season, win ugly. And we don't know how to do that, I don't think. Like, you haven't got anyone in the team that... I mean, we should have, right? We should have in the likes of Casemiro and that, but you don't have anyone at the minute who wants to smash someone for the sake of smashing someone and just being like, boys, we are playing shit at the minute. Let's get ourselves together here. I'll take one for the team, smash someone, then high-five everyone and be like, yeah, you do it next time. Yeah. And then you get everyone going by doing that. Like, you see it at Saturday, Sunday football. Like, it's a little bit dirty, but like, you see it. Like,
but it's nice to be praised. Who doesn't like being praised? Done something well, your colleagues praise you. It feels
do it
good.
again.
Oh,
You want to do it
I
again.
love a bit of praise.
Yeah, well, people pay to praise you. But, yeah.
Don't look at me.
No, I was just saying.
They pay to abuse.
But yeah, you should be praising your colleagues. But another thing as well that it's popped in my mind is just only a month or so ago we were in all competitions, right? And players' lifestyle would have been like they have to play a Thursday and then a Sunday and then a Thursday and Sunday. Now it's come towards the end of the season, and these players, they have downtime. And there's a long period of downtime. You go training for a few hours, and then what you doing? We all know what Sir Alex used to do with the players and how we used to have Manchester under lockdown, before lockdown. I wonder, because there are, we've seen reports of players being in venues and etc. People hear things about players doing certain things, and everybody's free to do what they want. But is it that you're noticing things are coming out now because we're not in all competitions and there's long periods of times where players are having downtime and relaxed time, and because we're playing on a Sunday on a bank holiday, we could do this, and FA Cup is the only thing we've got left. Yeah, we'll get top 4, but now you've lost a couple of games. Now you're thinking, well, okay, you need to keep a rhythm going week in, week out, and it's the discipline that the gaffer needs to install in the players.
I mean, AA, there's a big mentality question mark over these set of players, and there has been for a very long time. I mean, thrashings to Brentford, Liverpool, City. I mean, the list can go on. I won't, reel off the list because it's a long one. Also, certain bottling certain competitions in the past through stupid errors and kind of games we shouldn't have lost. And now, when the crunch time for top 4 and Liverpool are right in our tails, 2 back-to-back losses that should not be, and deserved losses as well. We've got 4 games out of 5 to get top 4. Do you think this is the mentality test now for these players?
Oh, it has to be. There's this whole thing about United always bounce back after a loss. Well, that's not happened now. We're back to the very start of the season when we lost the first 2 games, and we had that big game against Liverpool. We had to get that win. What he needs to do now for me, Ten Hag, is get it right back to basics. We saw them 2 scrappy wins against Southampton and Leicester that really set us on the way to sort of getting some form back. We need to do that again. We've got Wolves at home is a must win. And it comes
Fulham as well.
Fulham. It comes down to the home games because we've got 3 at home, Chelsea, Fulham, and Wolves, and the crowd are going to be on it because we're going to want to get them over the line now because it's been a long season. It's been a tough season, but I think if you look back at it, the Sevilla game away has knocked the stuffing out of this team. I think it's not the confidence because we've not looked the same since then. We've had scrappy wins. We look at the semi-final. We managed to get through that against Brighton, but we've not looked the same since. And I think I'll just take 3 1-0s at Old Trafford, get over the line, because this team deserves top 4 for what they've been through. To rectify some of what happened last season, get a cup over the line, get to another final. It would be a massive shame now if we did let it go and it was to let Liverpool back in.
I would actually. I don't even think it'd be a shame. I think it'd be an embarrassment.
No, it would be a shame because they've worked hard.
No, it'd be a shame, but it would be a shame, but it would be an embarrassment. Like, it's unacceptable to
I don't agree with you. I'll be honest. I don't agree. Going through something doesn't define you being, deserving enough to get top 4.
I don't think they deserve it, but I think we've got where we are, so we should see it over the line.
Look,
they should reach the levels that they've been at this season.
No matter how much we respect the Carabao Cup, we didn't get the biggest challenges. And we had numerous home games.
But that's not our fault, though. That's not our fault.
Of course.
That's not our fault.
That's, the hardest trophy that we could play for is the FA Cup, and now we have to go and really prove to ourselves if we can do it. Sevilla punched us and knocked us out, right? But top four, you play by having good performances, not making mistakes, and making sure you get tactics right, you make decisions right on and off the pitch. The gaffer's made mistakes. He's caused us suspensions. He may not have caused it, but some players have been injured when they shouldn't have been on the pitch. Then, players making mistakes and etc. You could just count now 3 or 4 games where we could have come away with a win, and we wouldn't be in this discussion at all.
I agree with that, and we've had too many blips this season. But I think over the 38 games, or however many games we've played so far, we deserve to be in the top 4. I think we've been one of the 4 best teams in the country for me.
Our away form doesn't say that, and I think at the end of the day you get what you deserve. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see. But there is actually some quotes coming out from Erik ten Hag that make me want to throw up, genuinely.
Oh, wow.
Ten Hag on De Gea, we want him to stay and we want him to extend his contract. He has the most clean sheets in the Premier League, so we would not be in this position without him. So he has fully has my belief, no concerns. That's what happens when you're a team, but you have to deal with it. You have to show character, be resilient and bounce back, and this team will do.
Can I just say, Ten Hag has tendencies of covering things and sugarcoating things.
I do get it to a certain extent.
He did that
right?
with Ronaldo when he said, I want to work with him. He's
Yeah.
part of my plans.
Yeah.
Well, clearly he wasn't part of your plans because you benched him. He said that when he joined Manchester United, said Harry Maguire is the captain, I'm going to keep him. Harry Maguire is not treated like the captain. He's benched because he's not even good enough for bench.
choice,
But yeah, he's there. He said that about Anthony Martial, where he said, Martial, you go and check the stats. When he plays, he scores. Martial doesn't start games. I don't want to say liar because it's a strong word, but he has a very clever way of managing media and us.
The thing
He closes ranks.
Yeah, the thing is, there's no point in Ten Hag coming out and slating the guy on screen and then him becoming even worse for the remaining games we've got, right?
100%.
There's no point in doing that.
Yeah.
So in all honesty, you've got to wrap him up in cotton wool and say he's the best goalkeeper in the world. We love you so much. You made a mistake, but the team didn't rectify it. Love you so much. And then as soon as that 38th game is played, the FA Cup final, then you deal with whatever you want to deal with.
It's like say if someone owes you a big chunk of money, but you don't really like him, you're going to be like, kind of nice to them before, when they give you the money back, you're like, okay, bye then. But it's like, I have to hope on this because I believe in Erik ten Hag as a manager, and I believe, obviously, in the way he wants to play. I have to hope that is exactly what he's doing, and I think it is. The only concern I have is signing that contract for me. Like, you don't sign a contract unless someone's going to be here, unless somehow he does end up, he does still. He signs a contract and you do still get another keeper as well, but I doubt you'd sign a contract on $200 a week if you're going to get a new keeper as well. No. I don't know if he's just doing it because he doesn't know what his budget is. I'm not sure.
I think he said that himself, and he doesn't know what he can spend. He doesn't know who he can get. So, if the easiest option is to keep De Gea for another season until all this mess around the ownership is sorted, that's probably what he's going to have to do. And there's rumours we want to look at a number 2 to bring in to compete, but who is that going to be? Are you looking at a younger keeper like a Lafont, or he's not going to be Costa because he's going to cost too much.
I want to make 2 references quickly. Reference 1, Luke Shaw, day of contract signing, he said in the press conference that he didn't know he even signed. This is the manager of Manchester United saying that.
That's true, actually.
And he wouldn't say, Ten Hag doesn't say random things. That's Luke Shaw, apparently one of the best left-backs in the world, has signed for you, extended a contract, and you didn't know. So what's going on there? Rashford's contract's due, so many other players' contracts due. Why is Luke Shaw's been signed? Someone above him is clearly making, shot calling, and he's not hearing about it. And I think, on top of it, reference 2 is, reports came out by top journalists that he's not looking for a right back after Bissaka started performing. A few weeks down the line, again, all these right backs are popping up that he's looking for right backs X, Y, and Z. I think Erik ten Hag wants a new keeper. I really do believe it because he is a really good football manager. And if we see it, and we're not even managers, we're just fans, we notice these things. He clearly notices it every single day on the training ground. He wants a new keeper, but I think there are people above him who are making certain calls, and that's why he's saying it as it is, because you're not going to see Erik ten Hag come out and say, I do think we need an improvement in this keeper position. David De Gea is getting a golden glove. He's amazing. But yeah, we're looking. He's not going to say that, right? But he can protect him while still be looking for a new keeper. And maybe those reports haven't just come out, just like the right back stuff. So yeah, 2 references for people to consider.
Yeah, I thought that was a really good point you made about Luke Shaw signing. And it's not the first time at Man United where managers haven't had a say on what player stays and what player goes. Like, not that it should have happened, but I remember when Mourinho desperately wanted to get rid of Martial, but the club forced him to keep him.
Yeah.
Like, that's happened in previous times as well, and it's not something new at Manchester United. But lastly, I've got a couple last things I do want to ask people. Charlie, I'll ask you. Malacia today, good tackles, but also can be a liability at times. He has these games where he looks really, really good, then he has iffy moments. Like, do you think it's just kind of a player learning the trade? And would you be more comfortable while Luke Shaw's at left-sided centre-back, having Malacia or Dalot start there?
I think as good as Shaw is at centre-back, we miss him so much at left-back. I
Yeah.
really do, what he offers going forward. And I do think that Malacia will be a very good left-back. He's young, isn't he? He's 23.
22, 20. Yeah.
Who knows if he reaches the heights of, what Shaw has been able to put up. Yes, Shaw over the years hasn't been that consistent. He's been a bit up and down, but he's been pretty consistent, or very consistent for this year. I don't know if it just comes down to people are very quick to say when attackers aren't doing very well, they need the season to adapt, right? That can go for other positions as well, defenders, etc. So you never know. I mean, he's having a bit of an off patch recently, isn't he? And I don't know. It's just unfortunate that it's happening when everyone else is playing a bit rubbish as well, isn't it? And that we're not getting the results that we're wanting. So you can look on it a little bit more. If he was playing how he is, but we were still scraping wins, you kind of overlook it a little bit more. But it's just more disappointing, isn't it? Because he came in and we were like, what? Like, where's this guy come from? Like, he straight into tackles. Whereas now, I don't know if players are kind of sussing him out a little bit, that he is that little bit physical, so they can go down easier, win fouls, and he does give the foul away, doesn't he, quite a lot, which is a little bit frustrating. But you can't say it's not for the want of trying. He's a grafter, and I think he does have the Manchester United mentality in that sense. But then again, some people might say Weghorst has, right? And Weghorst clearly hasn't got what it takes to be a Man United player. But I feel like Malacia has, and realistically, I don't think that Ten Hag would have brought him in long term if he didn't think that he could play some form of role in the overall long term project.
Yeah, I agree with that point. I mean, Faz, Sabitzer, people saying they want him to sign, but I don't know if I've seen enough.
Listen,
I really don't know if I've seen
There's two sides to this story, because yes, you do sign him if you don't have the money. If you need money for elsewhere, how are you gonna sign another midfielder if you need a £110 million striker?
Do you think
your budget's only 150
he's good
million?
enough quality to start for Man United?
But it doesn't matter at this point.
It does.
You take what you get given.
That can start.
Right. Look.
Who else? What he's saying is, who else do you get for that budget? If you were to spend?
I'd rather go and spend, for example, Enzo Lefebvre, £1,000 a week at Lorient, bossed the game against PSG, young, so much potential. He's only on £1,000 a week. Probably could get him out. He's got a year left on his contract. Probably could get him out for 15 to 20 mil. I'd rather take that risk and go for someone who could be amazing rather than. I like Sabitzer, but he's 29. He's not going to get any better.
Yeah.
I want players that are on the bench that are good enough to start games for United.
So next
and make
season,
impacts.
do you think Enzo Lefebvre is good enough to win Premier League?
That's the thing, isn't it?
Well, no, but I don't think Sabitzer is either. So why not try a youth player?
So if that's the case, are you okay to write off another season then? So no Premier League next season. You go with Enzo Lefebvre, you wait 2 more years.
I'm not saying I'm signing Enzo Lefebvre over Sabitzer is not the reason we're writing off a season. I'm just saying when you've got 2 options, Sabitzer for me personally isn't good enough to start games. He's a good player, not good enough to start games. Enzo Lefebvre probably right now isn't good enough to start games, but he has the potential to be top quality, and he's young, and Ten Hag can coach him. I think if you're spending that amount of money, Sabitza's not going to win you a league either.
So Sabitzer leaves this summer. You bring in Enzo Lefebvre. What's your midfield? Starting week in, week out, 4 competitions.
Well, you have to give Enzo Lefebvre a chance.
So what would you do? Why don't you, if we can get rid
Sabitzer
of
in
one
home
of
games
we
and
can
Enzo
get
Lefebvre
rid of
build him in?
one of Fred and McTominay, you bring Sabitzer and Lefebvre in. If you can get them both for 30 million.
By the way, the fact that you would only spend 20 million on a midfielder this summer is scary because I'm saying people talking about either signing Sabitzer and getting another midfielder or getting Enzo Lefebvre and signing another midfielder. It is obvious. If we only buy Sabitzer, that is not enough for the midfield at all. Same if you only buy Enzo
It would
Lefebvre.
make sense to buy Sabitzer and buy Enzo Lefebvre. That is you know.
Why buy 2 players that can't start then?
Because because Sabitzer has his full competition. One of the players you just said needs to learn, so he's not starting. But you've just put him in the starting because Sabitzer's leaving.
I actually think Enzo Lefebvre. I can't say absolute certainty, but I think he's quality enough to probably start games for us.
Which people, if you compare the two, right, no matter Enzo Lefebvre is a very talented player, right, but what Sabitzer has over him is experience and everything, right? He's played in the Champions League. He's got caps for Germany, Austria. He's played. There's a reason he moved to Bayern Munich, right? When he played against us for Leipzig, ridiculous, but tore us a new one, like really good, right? Whereas Enzo Lefebvre, as talented as he is, and the ceiling, yes, you just don't know if he quite has that yet. As the only thing that you can, when you're comparing both of them. And I'm not saying that's why you then go and sign Sabitzer for 20 million instead of Enzo Lefebvre. But if you're putting them face to face, square off, Sabitzer, he has the credentials over Enzo Lefebvre. That is the only thing I'd say.
But I'm all down for the risk of buying Enzo Lefebvre.
And I think we need to do that more. We need to buy them players, like you say, and them unearthed gems, because you don't know what he could throw him in. And within 2 months, he could be worth starting every single game.
This is what I mean.
You don't know that, but it's the risk. Is Ten Hag going to take that risk in throwing a young player into a situation?
If Carlo Ancelotti can, if Graham Potter can, and now
Graham Potter's not got a job, mate.
No, but Graham Potter did with Brighton.
I know.
Right, and the current guy is doing. I forgot just the Zerbi's doing it as well.
Of course.
If these guys are doing it with 20-year-olds, why can't we?
We should do.
Well, exactly. It's like, people didn't think Camavinga of Rennes was good enough to start, and he starts week in. He's run everything with Real Madrid
Youngest
now.
player in Real Madrid's history.
There's players there, and the last thing I was saying to Sabitzer, credentials, yes, but do you really think he's going to give anything more than what he's having? His chance at United is here.
We've seen bits of him looking amazing.
We've not seen.
Yeah, but again,
game,
it comes down to the point of people saying that embedding process, right? Sabitzer's only been here since January, right? So I do think he can offer more.
Yeah,
but I don't think it's going to be world-breaking stuff, right? Again, his age is what, 29? Do you say
29?
Yeah. So like he's not really getting on, is he? It sounds weird to say he's getting on, but like, when we're talking about kind of lowering the squad age as well, we have got quite a few older gentlemen in the squad that need to maybe be moved on. But
we've got to move on.
I was going to say
we were over an hour and we need to talk about top four. I wish we'll move this into another show because it's a really good discussion to talk about. But getting onto it, everyone have your comments as well. Everyone get your comments in what you think as well. But moving on, we've got Wolves next, top four. Quick answer from everyone. Will Manchester United get top four?
If we win all our home games, yes.
Well, that's not a yes or a no.
Yes, we will, yeah.
Yes.
I'm going with yes as well. We live for the hope, don't we? We live for the hope of it all. And lastly, score prediction against Wolves. We'll go this way this time.
2-0. Man United.
2-0, yeah.
2-0?
1-0.
1-0.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with 1-0 as well. I don't have much faith in us scoring, but look, that about wraps up the show, and everyone get your score predictions in too. Oh, a quick one. Lastly, before we go, Declan Rice, man of the match obviously today, because I'm not going to do United's man of the match because, we were awful. But Declan Rice apparently is, overrated English bias, as we like to get told we are all the time when we don't rate certain players, and we got told it's because of their ethnicity, which is weird to me. But, I mean, man of the match today, absolutely brilliant. Like you said, was tearing us a new one, tiki-taka, step-overs, the lot. Honestly, he was getting to the wing and skipping past players and then putting across it.
And this is for a, 15th place West Ham, by the way?
Yeah.
But we make everyone look good, so really, he wasn't even that great.
I mean, he walks into Man United's midfield. He does.
He walked into most teams' midfield, not just Manchester United, he walked into most teams.
Is he an option for midfield?
No, because it's 150 million, it's not even...
Not 150.
They're going to want at least 100, aren't they?
Yeah, how long's he got? Again, we're going into another conversation, right?
maybe?
But it depends on how long he's got left and that. But
Yeah.
I mean, I'd take him in a heartbeat, honestly.
Yeah,
Obviously,
he's
depending
great.
on if money weren't a thing, and I'd take him in a heartbeat.
Yeah, he's great. He is great.
Exactly, and yeah, I just kind of want to wrap the show up there, but we've definitely got more discussions that we can talk about in the future, but thank you for everyone getting involved. Lastly, before we go, I am going to read the last couple super chats that we got in, and I'm so sorry if I've missed any as well, because obviously there was loads coming in there, but there's so much to talk about today. But I will read the last couple out before we go, and we've got J90 saying, forward line is greedy. Any striker would struggle to score in this side. We create nothing. I would like to see Sabitzer start instead of Ericsson. Keel Robinson says, lay down the law, Beth, no mercy. Well, we've got to sometimes. David Muller says, Henderson for first choice, lol. I can't quite read that one. Mike B, hasn't United later than lost the most wait, I can't. Sorry, guys, I can't read past the spelling. The spelling of these, but thank you for your super chat anyway. And Nate says, I've got to ask what the hell the tactical plan was. I saw a lot of players standing around, no pattern of play, third player runs, pointless possession. Yeah, it was really, really frustrating to see. And MM Kamal says, with Weghorst, Erik ten Hag could take off Ericsson, Anthony at 50 minutes. Martial, Sabitzer and Sancho could help us win. Ericsson was useless after 50. Robin says, 30 million for Neves, can play as a lone 6 or an 8, will dictate. And Arsenal Comp says, if I was United, it is not worth paying for Lefay, to be honest with you. Well, we could sign Sabitzer and, have a player that we know where it's at, or we could sign someone who could go on to be the next big thing. And we always sat here thinking, why do United never take these risks? But you're right, we should be in the situation to potentially do both. But thank you, everyone, for getting your chats in. Thank you to the panel, Double A, Faz and Charlie. Great conversation as usual. Obviously, it's not a good result. It's so frustrating. But, guys, we have got 4 fan forums left of the season and we need 3 wins. So, it is that time. It is squeaky bum time. And, we've got to sit in. We've got to hope United can get top 4. We need to be playing Champions League football. We desperately need to. And, it's going to be crunch time. It really is going to be crunch time. But make sure you stay with us. Ricky will be back soon for people that are missing him. Don't know if it's next game, but maybe after that, I think he will be back. He will be back for the last couple of games of the season anyway. But thank you, everyone, for staying with us. Make sure you hit a like on the way out and leave your comments below. Have a great bank holiday, everybody.